I'm out here in my workshop and I'm preparing to mount my new RMRCC to this Glock 48, and I thought this would be a good time to talk about the work that I had done to this gun to cut it for an optic. However, this is not the only gun that I've had done by this company, and I want to talk about both those guns and more so the work that was done by this company. So I have my Glock 48 and my 45 here, and these were both worked on by Battle Werx. They're a machine shop out of Connecticut. I have no affiliation with them aside from just being a paying customer. I didn't get discounts, and I think I actually found them just by Google searching. I wanted to get this Glock 48 here cut for an RMRCC way back in 2022, and when I Googled RMRCC slide milling Glock 48, they were one of the first companies that popped up. And what I liked is that at the time, a lot of companies weren't doing an RMRCC with backup iron sights. Battle Werx was willing to do it, and they were willing to do it in the way I prefer, which is with my rear sight in front of the optic. So this gun began life as a regular Glock 48. I have a full video on it, which I'll link down below. But for the slide, the long and the short is that it was just a standard Glock 48 slide. When I mailed the slide off to Battle Werx, I had them mill me the RMRCC footprint, going through part of the rear sight dovetail as part of the footprint, and then I had them cut me a new rear sight dovetail here in front of the optic. Part of why I like this, and we can see it here on this gun too, it helps to protect the optic from failing out of the ejection port, but also it just kind of helps like racking the slide. And I find that it's a little bit better for concealed carry because I don't have a sharper rear sight cutting holes in my shirts or poking into me. So what I like about this optic cut is that the way that they did the recoil bosses is that they're recoil bosses which help out with absorbing recoil, but they're also your screw holes. With how wide the holes are on the RMRCC, and I'll pull it out here, with how wide the holes are on this, we can still directly mount it, and I think it's kind of a tight fit out to do this afterwards, but because of how big the holes are on the RMRCC, we can use the bosses and still have the threading inside of them. For something like a hollow sun, you really can't do that because just how the design is. The RMRCC also doesn't have any provisions for recoil bosses on the optic itself, so that's just through the mounting holes there. The finish here is certainly worn. I'll talk about the 45 here, but this is brown Cerakote. I think this is like Magpul FDE. The reason why I went this color and not black is pretty simple. I had the work done to this gun at the tail end of COVID back in 2022, and the lead time to have this Cerakoted in black was longer because they didn't have any black Cerakote on hand. So I did this because it was quicker, and I kind of like the contrast. It's very distinct, but as you can see, it has certainly worn a fair bit here. Now, I had someone who left a comment, and I'm still looking for the exact SKU, but the sights on here are a black serrated rear, and then a tritium front, like green tritium. I prefer black on black for a red dot gun, but this is what was available. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the work. I ended up digging up the invoice, and it looks like I paid about $250 for all of the work. But when you factor in that that includes the cost of new sights, but also the slide milling, the new rear sight dovetail, installing the sights, and then re-cerakoting everything, I feel pretty good with that price. I think their optic cut started $100 themselves just for the optic cut if you have no other work done, which is pretty reasonable. But for the whole package, I'm pretty happy with that. So the 48's going to be getting that RMRCC shortly, but I have my 45 here, which is configured as how it normally is, albeit that the optic's a little bit different here. So my Glock 45, I had the same package done. It was a base model 45. I had them mill me an aimpoint acro footprint here. This is the CNH Duty something. I am testing this, but it's fairly new to me. I've run an acro P2 on this optic on this gun for a number of years, and I actually have that P2 over here on the workbench. My old P2's got dings and dents in it. But yeah, good aimpoint acro footprint. I think they advertise that the Steiner MPS won't fit on here, but the CNH optic does just fine. I have the rear sight in front of the optic. This one's a little bit closer because of how the body of the aimpoint is, or the aimpoint footprint is. This one is black on black. The work on this gun was done later than my Glock 48. The Glock 48 was the end of 2022. This was like April of 2023 or maybe March of that year. The slide finish here is actually not Cerakote. It is DLC, or a diamond-like coating. And the reason why I specify that is that DLC holds up significantly better than Cerakoting does. I have my CAGWorks slide release here, and this normally removes a lot of finish off of the slide. But if I lock the gun open here, you can see that I don't actually have any finish missing. You can see where there's, I guess, a teeny little bit if you look at like the pattern at certain angles. But to the naked eye, you're not seeing any sort of finish being removed there. DLC holds up pretty good. So fairly simple in that way. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight Battle Werx. Again, no affiliation. They're not paying me to say anything nice. I've just had good experiences with their optic cutting services and then their slag refinishing and whatnot. If I have any future guns to get milled, I'm going to look at them first. I've used companies like Primary Machine and ATEI in the past, and they're both good companies. But Battle Werx's lead time and then the variety of services that they offer are just better for me. I want to say I waited about 10 weeks for this. And again, maybe not 10 weeks. It was like, goodness, maybe 8 weeks for this pistol back in 2022. And this was like 6 or 7 weeks. So reasonable turnaround time for these guns. But as a whole, I'm very content with the services done here. And yeah, what do you think of these guns? For the G45, normally I have that Acro P2 mounted on here. But I'm testing out this C&H Duty, which has been a mixed bag so far. But I'm happy with the performance of the gun itself, and of course the Glock 48 itself. And I'm very happy with the milling work. So, do you like either of these pistols? Do you think they're a little overly complicated? Let me know down below in the comments, and I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching.